Well, I'm Maria. I'm the president of the Human Solution Michigan chapter. And I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I want to tell you first, I'm really angry, and I will tell you why. As a woman, I take on a lot of roles: mother, wife, caregiver, problem solver, peacemaker, and fighter. 5 years ago, I voted yes on a law that would protect our sick and our elderly. I thought that this law would give them a hall pass to do something that would help them live their lives in peace and without suffering. And I thought that we were on the path to change. In the last 5 years, those same sick and elderly people are not only fighting against their illness, they're now fighting against the judicial system and against the police system. And this makes me really angry. The people who were supposed to be protected by this law are instead getting beaten to a pulp by the very people who have sworn to serve and protect. Are you guys angry yet? I'm talking a lot about patients and the medical use of marijuana in my presentation today, just because I think that's the most basic and outrageous set of circumstances that is happening in Michigan. I would really love to talk about ending prohibition altogether. I think that that's the end-all to all of this, but I feel like if the people of Michigan can't fully understand what's already happening here, then we can't be successful in taking the next step towards the ultimate goal. My husband and I are carded patients and caregivers. We have been for several years. And currently we are fighting the courts, the police, CPS, and that's in addition to fighting epilepsy and MS. We've spent nearly 9 months in court now, and we're nowhere near the end. We still have not been given a chance to even present our cards at court to let them know that we're patients and caregivers and that we shouldn't be here. We've spent loads of money on this system trying to prove our innocence. Money that should be going into raising our children and giving them a home is instead going to drug testing facilities and the Oakland County court system so that they can build new roads. The stress of this ordeal has been so much, too much for my body to handle, that I had to quit breastfeeding my infant long before I wanted to. She was only 3.5 or 4 months old when my body just couldn't take it anymore from the stress. My husband is now back to having life-threatening seizures after being nearly 2 years seizure-free. And most currently, I haven't seen my 6-year-old son in over 3 months now. And that is the court system, the police system. They do not have a plan for that to change anytime soon. Are you guys angry yet? Because I can keep going. You want to know how big this problem is, the prohibition is? We have a real problem in our hands when good families are torn apart and assaulted over a non-toxic plant. We have a real problem on our hands when the war on drugs has progressed so far that our state's most vulnerable people are being tossed in cages with no concern to the delicacy of their health problems. We have a real problem when we have to worry about our kid getting sick and needing to make the choice between following a law or saving their life. And we have a big problem on our hands when things like our daughter's rapists go free, but our daughters themselves get victimized yet again, only this time by the judicial system, for having possessed a gram of pot. You guys should be angry. I talked about the roles that we play: problem solver, caregiver, fighter. what's it going to take for us to become Mama Bear in this system? Women, we are the driving force behind we have been the driving force behind many movements, and we need to be the driving force behind ending prohibition. What is it going to take for you to get angry enough to do something about it and act? It took me losing the life I had known, the health of my loved ones, and the company of my child. Please don't wait that long before you get up and you act on this. One of the tools that I want to leave you guys with is my group that I started here in Michigan. It's the Human Solution, and we, you know, going to your legislators and your lawmakers, it's very important, and it's something that you know, you guys definitely do need to do, get involved in that way. My organization goes at it a little bit from a different angle, so that maybe we can attack this on all sides. What we do is we go to court hearings and provide court support for defendants who are facing charges for marijuana. We write to prisoners who are in prison for marijuana. We pass out petitions for compassionate release of those prisoners. When we go into court, we wear a green ribbon, this green ribbon right here that's on my shirt, and the judges, the juries, the prosecutors, they look out into the crowd behind the defendant and they can see the sea of ribbons that is speaking so loudly to say, we do not agree with these laws. We don't think that this person should go to jail for a plant. You know, one of the last times that I was in court, there was 25 people in the crowd, and in a sea of it was motion day, so there were mostly lawyers in there, except for us with our green ribbons on. And when the defendant was done with his motion, and it was time for us to leave, all 25 of us got up in unison, completely silent, did not make an audio disruption whatsoever, but the judge had to stop calling the next case because we were noticed that day. And that's the kind of impact that we can make. And so that's, you know, that's fantastic. Some of the, not only is it showing, providing the message to these people that we're watching them and that we don't agree, it helps the defendants. And if for nothing else, you guys need to see what happens in some of these hearings. It's unbelievable. I tell stories of this to people who have never been to a court hearing, and they think I'm joking all the time because the tactics that they pull, for instance, we were at Barb Agro's hearing on Friday, and the prosecutor, Barb was on the witness stand, and the prosecutor was up there just beating up on this old woman who's 72 years old now, and telling her that, basically treating her like a thug off the street because she had a little pot. And one of the things that appalled me about this was you know, Barb's telling them that the plaints were Sal's, and like Sharmi said, Sal had died from a heart attack a week later. And the prosecutor gets up there and she's telling Barb that, no, these plants can't be counted as Sal's. They're yours. We have to count them as yours because your husband's not here to tell us that they're not.
Oh.
Oakland County.
When is that acceptable? I can't think of a single circumstance that that would be acceptable. And these are the things that are happening in courtrooms every single day. So please, that's one thing that you can do. Join the Human Solution, go to court hearings, write to POWs, spread the word about jury nullification and other jury rights that are important in ending prohibition.